Hello, my name is B, and this is the Sound in Theatre workshop. I'd like to start with acknowledging the traditional owners of the land on which I live and create, the Wadjuk people of the Noongar Nation. I pay respects to their elders past, present and emerging. This always was and always will be Aboriginal land. I am the writer and performer of the music in Borderline, which actually is only folk music, which is not what I'm talking about in this workshop at all. Another part of my composition practice is something called field recording, which I do also use in sound design for theatre as well. So firstly, we're going to go over a little bit of terminology to do with sound design and theatre. Pretty much just two categories. The first is diegetic. Diegetic sound exists within the world that the characters are inhabiting. These apply to both like theatre and film as well. So diegetic sound is any live sound that the actors are making, like speaking or singing or walking or slamming a door. Or it's also added sound that they might hear that still exists within their world, like the sound of the environment around them, whether it's traffic or maybe other voices from off stage or off screen. The characters on stage hear it and maybe respond to it and exist with it. The other is non-diegetic, which is sound that is really there for the audience to hear and isn't quite from the world that the audience is being shown. So the most obvious example of this is music, which is there to affect like the mood. A narrator would be non-diegetic, really anything that's there for the audience to affect how they perceive whatever they're watching. The practice that I mentioned before, field recording, is something that can be used to create both diegetic and non-diegetic sound. Field recording is basically just recording things outside of a studio. It can be recordings of nature, like, birds and crickets or like a river, or it can be recordings in cities or towns of birds and cars or people. Some people edit recordings and some don't. What I do is a bit like, I think of like making sort of a collage, which can feel narrative and it can feel not narrative. I take a lot of recordings in different places and I build up a bit of a bank usually, and then I edit them a little and I mix them together and put them in different orders and see what I can make. I do this attached to sound design, like for theatre, and I also just do it as its own thing. Today I'm going to go through some basic sound editing skills and hopefully provide everyone with some, tools to make something of their own. What we're looking for at the end of this is that everyone participating can have a go and make something. There's no wrong answer or product in my mind. Maybe you have like a poem or a monologue or something and you can make some sound to accompany it if you want, or you can just play around and come up with a sound piece on its own. The idea is to get a go at trying everything out, and then in future for pieces you're working on or now you have what you need to make whatever you have in mind. So in a minute I'm going to open Audacity and go through how to do a few things, and then I'll slowly put together a bit of a piece, and at the end you can see how I would go about building that and playing with that. I mainly do this when I'm not actually working on theatre, so it's not always there to support another thing. It's just sort of there to stand on its own a lot of the time, so my approach might be different to your own. In terms of material, if you would like to, you can go and make some recordings yourself. You can just do this like with your phone. It should be okay. If you've got like an iPhone, just the voice memos, or any other phone that has something like that. That's a great thing to do if you have a specific, something that you really want to be working with or making something for, like a voiceover, or you need a specific sounds for a scene you have in mind. Otherwise, it's also great to just still do it, even if you don't, just go outside wherever you are, home or school or anywhere. Once you start listening, you will quite likely notice a lot more than you expect, Please, if you're using the recordings that I've supplied, go through, have a listen. Some sort of prompts that I would supply are just have a listen, see if there's two that you think go together, or maybe you find one and you could imagine adding something to it, and maybe you then go and find your own recording of that if you can. Things that go together. Maybe there's something that feels like it could lead to something else in your mind, and you can imagine that, and then you want to try and make that by whether it's by finding a recording or by like layering a couple things together. You can think of this with, I guess, an intention to make something static if you wanted. Like maybe you find a couple things that you can layer together to make like a sort of like a block of a sound environment. And maybe some things come in and out, or something like pans from left to right, which we'll go over how to do. Or you can look at it as something that you want to move. So when the way that sounds when we start is really different to where we end up, I'm probably going to do something a bit like that. So here we are in Audacity. The first thing that I'm going to do is import a track, which we do by going into File, Import, and Audio. Here's my little bank of recordings. I'm going to start with this one. Open. Have this one selected here to make a copy of files before editing, and we'll keep all of your sort of data safe, basically. You won't lose anything. And then, all right, so here we are. I can press play. There's our track. I can make it louder or quieter over here with the gain. I'm going to leave it right in the middle for now. So I can select parts of this that I want to get rid of. Maybe I only want it to start from like 5 seconds. I can go like this and just press delete. Easy as that. And then I want it back, so I can press undo over here. The next thing I'm going to do is try adding a fade in, which there's a couple of different ways to do it. We're going to go over like both of them. We'll do the other one a bit later. But for right now, I'm just going to select this bit at the start. I'm going to go into effect, and I'm going to put in fade in. There's heaps of stuff here that you can have, a lot of fun with. Try out as much as you'd like. But right now I'm going to do fade in, and then it's already done it. So you can see this waveform over here has gotten a bit smaller than it was before, which means it's just gone quieter. So if I play from the start, we hear it slowly get louder there. I think that's all I'm going to do with this one right now. I'm going to load in some other tracks. Okay, now I've loaded in a couple more tracks. I've got that Swans recording I had before muted, which means I can't hear it for now, and I'm going to make it just smaller so it's out of my way. We're going to... I have this Perth City recording, which I've actually already made a bit shorter than it was. And then I have this recording of the train station as well. So first I'm going to put some fade-ins and outs on the Perth City recording, which I'm going to do in a different way than before. Up here, there's this little controller, which sort of changes how everything looks a bit. And hold on. There we go. And I'm going to just put this, click here. And then as I click here and drag down, it will lower the volume so that it fades in, and I can move that to where I want as well. So I'm going to put it about there. Maybe put this up here. I can change the shape of it however I want. And then I'm going to fade it out from a little bit earlier, about when this sort of peaks here. So as you go from this tool to this one here, you can change the volume anywhere you want in any of the tracks. Next, we're going to look at doing panning. I'm going to solo this one here. Panning is making the sound come out of a particular speaker or side. So underneath this bit where you can change the volume of the tracks, you have this L and this R, which stands for left and right. If I drag this over here, it says pan 90% left or 100%, and then to the right. So that's controlling which side the sound comes out. So what I'm actually going to do is go in here, and I'm going to select split stereo to mono. So stereo is something that has left and right channels already, and mono is only one. If you need to have a left and right stereo track, you can like duplicate a mono one. So you could either load it in again, or you could, like if I select this and I go like Command D or duplicate, it will happen again. Or I could copy and paste it, or however it works. There's a couple ways to do it. So I've split them now into 2 mono tracks. If I drag this down a bit, there we go, there's our left and right controls. And here, so this one at the top, I'm going to pan all the way to the left. And this one down here, I'm going to pan all the way to the right. And then I'm going to go up the top to where we could do that volume automation. And this one at the left, I'm going to sort of have this point in the middle for both of them, actually about here. And then same down the bottom. So the one at the top, we're going to keep, it's going to sort of still fade in, but we're going to keep it quite loud on the left. Then it's going to get really quiet at the end there. And then this one down here, the right side one, is going to start really quiet. And then it's going to slowly get louder. And then here, it's going to stay loud and fade out just a little bit. So this is going to have the effect that it's going to sound like this is coming from the left-hand side, and then it's going to move right into the middle, and then it's going to continue over for us to be hearing it on the right-hand side. So it's going to sound like it moves across. We'll have a listen from here. So now I am also going to add a fade in the right hand channel of this train as well, because that's where I want those louder sounds to fade out anyway. I've loaded in this track as well, which is just it's just like a really steady recording of the river. I'm going to use this tool here, this like left right one, which lets me drag it over to where I want it. So I want it to come in right about here. Yeah. I'm also going to bring back the swans. I'm going to unmute them, and I'm going to drag them along, and I'm going to put a fade in on them too, as well as on the water. And this is just going to create a really big transition in this soundscape. So if we listen from here, yeah. So those are like 2 different sound worlds with just like 2 recordings each. Yeah, like really simple sort of thing. I'm gonna save my work, which I should have actually done a lot earlier. Yeah, great. Baby Swans, Hyde Park. Yep. And I can export, which I can do with export audio here. I can also do export selected audio if I wanted just this bit, which might help if you want a specific bit of a song, if you don't want to go to the effort of even like cutting around it properly, a song or any sort of audio file. This file of what I just made will be included in the list of recordings that I've put to download, and I think I might also put this Audacity session in there as well, so you can go into what I've made here and play around and poke around if you want to as well. Edit it, tear it apart, whatever you'd like. Yeah. All right, that's pretty much all. I hope that this has been useful and maybe enjoyable, and maybe both. Hopefully there's something there that everyone could use to have a go at now and help you out with future projects as well. Thanks very much.